everybody, my name is Luke Mar and this is Hot Lamode, and today on Hot Lamode we are going to be coming to you with the August 2021 fashion roast. We'll be looking at all of your favorite celebrities, influencers, whomever, in their looks that they've been wearing, from some of the top brands, some up-and-coming brands, some brands you've probably never heard of, some brands I've probably never heard of. There's a lot to discuss. I also want to say, if I sound sick, I have a post-nasal drip. Thank you, ragweed. Also, if you guys want to see the full version of this roast, obviously you can become a channel member. You just go down right next to my subscriber sort of moment there in the description box below, and it says join, and then you join. It's $1. It's nice. I post videos in there, and you know, it's just a way to see this full long version where we talk about multiple looks from different celebrities. So without further ado, let's get into this roast. First up is Anne Marie, and she is wearing Kate. Kate is a New York-based brand. It's very flowy, free, but also like sometimes it has this sort of dark, gory, scary sort of feeling, and I kind of love it. You know, we have a lot of these brands that are very cottagecore and like happy-go-lucky and like playing in a field of ragweed. But you know what? They don't talk about the allergies that come with ragweed. And that's where I feel like Kate comes in. It sort of gives a little bit more dark, gloomy sort of feeling. It's not always super duper frilly and happy, and I feel like that gives the brand a lot of substance. We have a square neckline. It has a very 18th century, 19th century sort of feeling to it. I like the little tiny poof sleeves. I think they're fun. It's like leg of mutton sleeves just said, we're doing shorts today. Thank you. I also kind of, weirdly enough, don't mind the wrap on the bust. Normally it's not my thing, but I feel like the fact that it sort of plays into the texture on the sleeve and also on the actual shoulder, I feel like there's some sort of camaraderie there. And at the same time, when I'm looking at it, the sort of flatness and the square neckline sort of have 18th century rich upper crust feeling to it. So when it hits right below the waist, I feel like it's a mixture of like Regency meets robe a la française or robe a la anglaise or robe a la, I don't know how you say the Spanish one, but it sort of has that old-timey feeling to it. I also don't totally hate the hem because it's not short, flat, petite. It's gathered so that as it comes towards the middle, you can sort of see a little bit of a V, a little bit of a deepening. And I feel like, again, those are like very subtle little details that play into not just being your run-of-the-mill cottagecore brand. And I like that. I also think the shoes, smart choice. The black loafers with little frilly socks, it plays into the sort of darker feeling, but at the same time, the socks give it that lightness. Overall, it's a nice dress. It's very interesting. From afar, you might not think of it as anything to really look at, but when you look at details on it, I think it's nice. Next up is Ariana Grande, and she is wearing Miss Sohee. If you don't know who Miss Sohee is, I'm really sorry for you, but she is one of London's up-and-coming fashion designers, brands. Her most recent collection was divine, and Ariana is wearing a look from the collection. I think there are other looks that I obviously would have preferred, but listen, baby steps for Ariana on the fashion journey. Oftentimes I get, Ariana is not a fashion girl and she never claims to be. Ariana doesn't want to wear super stylish, crazy clothing. Like, don't expect that. And listen, I respect it, but it seems like Ariana has got the memo, maybe not from me, but from somebody that, let's do fashion. And this to me is a fashion. This is a fashion. So it's this aquamarine and sort of teal skirt and matching bra top with sleeves. Now the neckline is piped in crystals. You do have a sort of sloping little bra cup, which I did see people comment on my Instagram post about it, saying like it makes her look like she's drooping. I don't think that's necessarily true. I personally don't see it that way. I also am not an expert on like drooping boobs, so there's that aspect of it as well. But something about the actual cut of it, the fact that there's a genuine moment going on where there's like a deepening in there, I think it's interesting. I think it's something we don't really see that often. I'm intrigued on it. I will say that, you know, the piping matching with the little pockets on the skirt is sweet. I think that the full gloved sleeve is interesting. Now, while I did love the little poof on the sleeve for the Kate dress, I don't know if I love it as much here. I just think the shape is a little bit strange. Just a tad. It looks a little bit flat, looks a little bit frumpy, but for the most part, if this is Ariana's style journey and it's moving forward, I'm very happy with it. Mimi Cottrell, who's her stylist, Thank you, Mimi. Thank you. We've been waiting and we're getting. So yeah, I'm excited to see where Ariana goes with this because I just feel like slowly but surely we're getting into this like really wonderful territory. Next up is Awkwafina, and she's wearing PH5, which is a brand that I'm very much so obsessed with. I mean, like, look at the skirt. Look at this little squiggly cut skirt. I'm obsessed. I would die for it. We did see it on this Emma Chamberlain video, even though that's not actually designed by PH5, but I have a feeling that these sort of oddly cut and oddly hemmed sort of skirts are going to be a thing. Watch out. It's a moment. It's going to happen. You heard it here first. I do like the matching cardigan. I feel like it's interesting. It plays into this dot sort of style, which in reality you can see on one side goes from like purple dots that slowly and surely decrease in size, and then it gets white, and then on the other side it sort of goes in the opposite direction. I feel like it's a way for PH5 to play on different visual tricks, which is really, really interesting. Not obsessed with the white turtleneck underneath. I feel like it sort of ruins the vibe there. I understand it's trying to like tie it into the shoe, but also we have the white piping sort of lines on the skirt and the white on the cardigan, so I feel like that's doing that job. I don't know if we needed the turtleneck underneath. I understand for like continuity purposes, Awkwafina might not want to sweat into the cardigan. I get it, but like undershirt never hurts. I don't know, like we could have put something there that would have helped. But overall, I love the clothing. I like PH5. I think it's really interesting. I'm happy to see Awkwafina like try and do a little bit kooky crazy. Thank you. Next up is Bella Hadid, and she is wearing Di Petsa. Now, we've talked about Di Petsa quite a few times on this channel. Some of you may know Di Petsa's work from being copied by Dior for a resort or pre-fall collection. But you also might know Di Petsa because Gigi Hadid, Nicki Minaj, the Kardashians as well, they've all worn Di Petsa because they know what they're doing. And here we have a halter style of the very famous Di Petsa wet look. Now, this one is rather interesting because Di Petsa's wet look is a design technique, so usually the dresses aren't actually wet. They're just draped in a manner, which is crazy. Like, let me just say, you are understanding draping to a level where you can manipulate fabric to look as if it's wet, even though it's not wet. That's a skill. But here, it's actually sort of done in a way where I need to know if it's actually wet or not. And normally I know it's not wet. This one looks like they threw a little bit of water on her. In reality, I do think it's really interesting. I like seeing it in the halter style. I like seeing this sort of white ovular shape that does have a sort of drape in the middle but is sheer near the stomach. We also can see that it's rather sheer at the bust as well. That's why there's a blur over the nip. I like the shortness of it. I think it's sweet. I think it's fun. I think it's a nice way to sort of showcase the Di Petsa look in a not like formal gown sort of feeling, but rather something a little bit more casual and easy. The constant sort of referencing back to wet muslins of what, the 18th century, 19th century is really also very much so amazing. And again, this is like a technical, skill. Like this is something that in reality I could never fathom doing it on my brightest day. My hat's always going off. My non-existent hat is always going off to Di Petsa. Do I love the Yeezy? No. I don't. I like the Yeezy separate from the outfit, and I do sort of see what they were going for here, where it's like put, a Yeezy that has holes in it and it's white with a Di Petsa look that has like holes in it and is white, or looks like it has holes in it, or is transparent and looks like it has holes in it. That's white. I get it. I understand it. I just think the look is very much so it's the drawing factor, and so you have to let it have its moment. Here I feel like the shoe and the dress are like fighting for attention, and I want to keep my attention on the dress, but the Yeezy is making it difficult. Love this dress, would die for it. Stunning, beautiful, amazing. Bella Hadid constantly raising the bar. Next up is Beyoncé. Now she was on the cover of Harper's Bazaar. There are 3 different covers. We will talk about each of them in our channel members only video, so stay tuned for that. But I really want to talk about the Givenchy dress that was from this Harper's editorial. I think it's really stunning. I think it's really exciting. I like the cutout aspect of it. I like the sort of drop stitch moment. I like the way that it almost looks like it's a organic form in and of itself. I like the way that there are these elements of sort of braided rope that fall down from it. Shout out to Matthew Williams. This is the first moment I think I've really been like, wow, Givenchy, I'm here for it. I do think it's really stunning. I do think it's really, really lovely. I think it plays to this idea of a gown, but showcasing the body at the same time. I think now in the 21st century, cutouts and sheer and all of these things are no longer really taboo. I think they're taboo to like some people, and those people, I'm sorry for you. But I do think that this sort of speaks to this new age, new wave thinking where you can wear a gown and this can be formal, but at the same time, it doesn't have to cover everything up. You don't have to be conservative with what is a gown. And in that regard, I think it's really lovely. I think it's really stunning. I think Beyoncé has a loving relationship with the house of Givenchy from when Riccardo Tisci was there. And I like that it's, being continued here in this moment at this time. So next up is Bretman Rock wearing Heliot Emil. Now, Heliot Emil is a brand that is based out of Copenhagen in Denmark, and it is done by brothers who are Julius and Victor Jewel. I presume pronounced like Jewel. If not, somebody let me know in the comments down below. So for the most part, Heliot Emil is sort of in this, I don't know, like I'd put it in the same sort of category of like a Leaks, a Cold Wall, Kiko Kostatinov, where it's this sort of like streetwear brand that relies very heavily on mechanical elements. It's sort of easily ascertainable, but at the same time, like will do something and you're like, oh shit, that's really cute. This sort of style is called the liquid metal style. It's made in Japan from what I understand, and it's made up of part polyethylene and cotton, which plastic and cotton. And I think you wouldn't be able to really get, I don't know, like this sort of reflective style from just a cotton, unless, I don't know, you're like a cotton wizard and you can whisper to the cotton and tell it to do what you want, in which case I'd like to talk to you. But for the most part, I do respect the fact that this is a rather intriguing sort of style. So you can see the way that the light reflects off of it. It's almost like a moire, but like more synthetic. And I like that Bretman's wearing it. It's kooky, it's weird, it's strange. Bretman's sort of like on this roll now where Bretman is tapping into these really cool, young, up-and-coming brands, and I respect it. I'm happy to see it. It also seems like Bretman is a buyer. He's a purchaser, and I'm into that. I like when you're a client, a customer. In reality, also, Bretman sort of like utilizes his body as an accessory, so, there doesn't need to be an undershirt because there's a six-pack, and I'm happy for that as well. The jacket, a little bit big, a little bit baggy, but I think maybe that's the point. The pants also a little bit big, a little bit baggy, but with the pants, I think you're given the ability to see the crinkles, the wrinkles, the excess fabric, utilizing the light as something to play on. So honestly, if they've developed this fabric themselves, I'm super duper happy about it. I think it's really, really cool. I like when brands develop their own fabrics. I think to me, it speaks to you as a designer. You're not just trying to do run-of-the-mill shit. You are actually trying to innovate, do something exciting, do something different, do something that, is pushing fashion a little bit forward. If you're also a textile designer, hats off to you. That's the goal. Honestly, I like it. I like seeing the fabric. I like seeing the way it reflects. So I wish the jacket was a little bit more tailored, absolutely. But besides that, I'm into it. Let's talk about Chloe Bailey wearing Fendi. Now, this is for Flaunt magazine, and in reality, it is, in my opinion, a take on exciting office wear. Kim Jones, for his first haute couture collection, spoke about the fact that he wanted to create, at least in that context, clothing that was actually wearable, that women that he knew could actually go and buy it, or people. Doesn't have to be women, could be anybody. That was sort of what Kim wanted to achieve. First collection, I don't know if that was a thing, but here in this first sort of ready-to-wear collection, I think it's very much so achieved, and I think this is a great example of that. This sort of cropped, little off-the-shoulder, striped button-down shirt take is really lovely. I understand a lot of people might not be, comfortable wearing that to the office, which that's a problem in my opinion. But I do think that it plays on these traditional notions of conservative, everyday office wear moments. And I like it. I like the little sort of fabric rose, I think, in the striped shirt. I don't think we see that often. I think the striped sort of button down also plays on Kim's very sort of extensive history in the menswear market. And also I think Kim probably for the most part had people both at Louis Vuitton and Dior who were looking for him to make women's wear. But, I think this is sort of where he's channeling that. And then on top of that, you have a sort of high-waisted little skirt in a nice little, I don't know, wool. She looks a little bit woolly. She looks like a light wool woman. I think it's smart. I think it's interesting. I think it's cool. I think it's hot. I think it's exciting, even though, it's like office wear. I think the boots give it a definite sort of 70s feel. The peekaboo bag, listen, it's almost like the Fendi version of the hold everything moment, and I respect it. I'm into it. I'm not opposed to it. Overall, I think this is a new fun little take on office wear for the everyday person, and I'm not opposed. I think offices should allow these sorts of styles. Would be super duper fun and exciting. I would want to work in an office. Next up is Cynthia Erivo, and she is wearing Area. Now, this is a plaid sort of simple tailored suit. It's cropped, obviously. I do like the way that they've cut the neckline. It's not your normal sort of lapel, but the lapels sort of come around the collar down, and then it's sort of like a little bit of a square edge and then a V little tiny cut. I feel like it's fun. I feel like it's something that you could take that, and it's not really like blazer. It's more like top. And you could pair it with a pair of jeans. It wouldn't be super duper hard. The exciting thing about Area is the use of this sort of bling-ling. If it's Area, it's usually piped with a crystal. So we can see this sort of crystal edging going on here. It falls right down on top of these sort of wide-legged pants. Again, I like the wide-legged pants. I think they're fun. I feel like they're not trying to do too much. They're letting, you know, the crystals and the crop top do all of the work. And also because there's so much crystal, like there's layers of this crystal, it genuinely allows the body to not be fully exposed in the way that a crop top might. I also like the shoes. I feel like it plays into this sort of like 1970s wide leg pant sort of moment. I think it's interesting. Listen, even the Nike, you know, Hydro Flask, I'm loving it. Overall, super sweet, super interesting, super cool, like commercial version of Area with crystals. Next up is Doja Cat, and she is wearing Blumarine. Now, this is from the new Interview magazine, which is now being done by the editor-in-chief, Mel Ottenberg. Mel is an icon, a legend, a star. I'm like so happy. I've like not thought about being interested in a magazine in a very long time. Interview is making me excited. Like I'm genuinely happy and I'm not eating Mel's ass. Like I just genuinely saw every single different editorial cover from this new version of Interview and I'm happy. Like if Mel Ottenberg is the new Andy Warhol, so be it. I'm here for it. Doja Cat here is wearing Blumarine. You can tell, now this is from, I believe, fall 2021. You have this sort of little tiny mini skirt and it has these little floral 2D sort of styles that drip down. This is Nicola Bragnano sort of to the T. I think it's fun. I think it's cool. I think it's that sort of mini skirt moment. I'm into it. I'm here for it. I'm enjoying it. Bra with the butterflies on it, again, sort of very reminiscent of Y2K, early 2000s styles. There's a sort of crystal little butterfly right on the nip. I'm into it. I think it's fun. I think it speaks to Nicola. And at the same time, I'm wondering if Blumarine's going to get into like the lingerie space because I feel like they could and I feel like they would dominate, which would be interesting. Do I think they totally go together? Like, no. I feel like you want things to totally go together at Vogue or at Harper's Bazaar or Elle. Interview, it's like let it get weird, wild, sort of kooky, kind of strange. Like that's just what I expect. Okay, so I might have possibly not finished recording this video all in one day. So I've changed look possibly somewhat to a degree. But we have to talk about this Dolce and Gabbana situation. If you do not know, they show their Alta Moda show. I don't know what season, I don't really care. In Venice, there was a hailstorm. It was kind of like karma, and by kind of like, I mean like it was probably karma. A few notable celebrities showed up. They arrived. They wore Dolce. So let's like just do a quick breakdown because I don't really have time to care. First up, Doja Cat. It's like a gray tulle dress with some sort of flower applique moment. It kind of reminds me of like court dress from the Regency period, aka like really high waistline and like a ridiculous skirt, and like that's not a compliment. Jennifer Hudson looks like she's going to a Sweet 16. It might be her Sweet 16, but like the embroidered or sequined bustier with the gold skirt, it's just it's not good. It's bad. It's maybe not even Sweet 16. Quinceañera-esque. That's offensive to quinceañeras. Next up is Maria Bakalova. It's just a fleur-de-lis and like a bunch of, I don't know, like Baroque sort of styles and structures going on in a gown. It's not really interesting. It's not really exciting. I don't really care. Then there's Megan Thee Stallion, and she looks like Carmen Sandiego, and it's really sad because I actually like have never watched anything with Carmen Sandiego in it, but I know what that is, and so that's just what this reminds me of. Listen, I like the lining of the jacket. I like the leopard in the lining. I think that's smart. But the bodysuit or like the bathing suit or the cutout suit, I want like more from Megan, but also this is Dolce, so like I shouldn't expect a lot. Then there was Normani's, which was the least offensive of all of these looks. It was a black tulle dress or a black net dress, and then there was some sort of green, maybe organza layered over it. There was a print, and then there were white paint strokes throughout. This one seems like it was meant to intentionally look messed up, and so maybe that's sort of helping me with it, but again, like even then, Overall, like, don't wear Dolce. That's the moral of the story, you know what I mean? Like, I get it. Stylists, they get paid by the brands to dress people in these things. I think it's not a choice people should make, but again, I think it's a very sort of like political thing, not only within like the fashion politic world, but also the politic world of entertainers and entertainment and providing a service as a stylist. So in that context, I would have to do like a much deeper sort of dive on this and why it's happening and what it's sort of curtailing and meaning and all of that. I'd like to do that, but as of right now, September is booked. Fashion Month, the VMAs, Venice Film Festival, the Met Gala. There's a lot going on, so like maybe we can talk about this at a later point, maybe not, but if you must know, the reason these people are wearing these things is more than likely a lot of money is being paid for these outfits to be worn. Just saying. Next up is Dua Lipa, and she is wearing Courreges. Now, Andre Courreges was one of the sort of 1960s futuristic space-age designers. He is one of my favorites, and I love this look. Nicolas De Felice is the, not new creative director, but he's the creative director. He's been there probably for about a year and a half tops. And it was a little bit of a slow start just because it was very minimal. It wasn't super duper in your face. But here, this Dua Lipa look, this sold me. This is the moment I said, okay, I'm on it, I want it, I need it. So there is a plaid little sort of scarf tied top in a halter style. So you can see up here, it's a square neck and then it sort of comes around, halter. And then at the back, it sort of ties. And to me, it moves into this whole scarf top trend and or sort of vibe that's going on with young people on TikTok. I think it's tapping into that really, really well. You have little Courrèges symbol and then black and white or black and off-white or cream motifs going on. In reality, Courrèges, Andre Courrèges AC, was actually sort of doing a lot of plaids when he was around in the 1960s. So this is, in my opinion, most definitely a reference to that. But the thing that really sort of set me off was the jeans. Now these jeans, we can't see the full moment on Dua Lipa, but they have a cutout here. And maybe they're not jeans, maybe they're just pants. But even if they are pants, great. The cutout. Now, Andre Courrèges used to do cutouts, and I don't mean like cutouts like, oh, you know, like a little cutout on, you know, the waist, or like a little cutout on like the shoulder. No. He would do a cutout where like, honestly, you might see a little bit of booty. In the 1960s, that was far flung for that period. You know what I mean? That was a little bit risque. And so I like the fact that Nicola is bringing that here. I would hope that Courrèges sort of starts to do jeans in the future and utilizes these cutouts as a way to sort of not only tap into the history of Courrèges, but also tap into the fact that in current dressing, cutouts and sort of exposing skin is not a bad thing. It's not weird, it's not strange, it's almost sort of normalized, or it's becoming more and more normalized. So in that regard, I think this is brilliant. I just genuinely think it's a way of taking a very iconic aspect of Courrèges design history and bringing it into the 21st century. You know what I mean? Like, if you were to make jeans in this, or if they are going to produce more and more jeans of this sort of style, I think it would go crazy. I think people would really truly be drawn to it. And that's why I think this is so brilliant. That's why I think this really truly is a look that showcases a designer actually understanding the history of its brand and then sort of bringing that into a modern age. Maybe people think it's really simple. It could be really simple, but it's a brand that, you know, is trying to get itself back into sort of the mainstream culture. It needs to create product that people are really drawn to, and this to me is doing that. This to me is making something that is hot and sexy. You could buy Courrèges jeans and then wear them for 30 years. You know what I mean? You have your cutouts and they're hot and they're cool and they're amazing and iconic and we love them. Sorry, it's the truth. Thank you, Dua Lipa. Thank you, Lorenzo. I'm overjoyed. Next up is Isa Gonzalez, and she is wearing Del Corre. Now, Del Corre is an Italian brand. It's sort of one of the up-and-coming Italian brands, and honestly, like, you don't really hear much about the up-and-coming Italian brands, which is sort of sad. But here we're getting a full pleated experience in green and white. So it's a sort of fan pleated top that almost creates, I don't know, it's not like a bateau neckline, but it sort of exposes the shoulder, which I think is fun. Creates a sort of circular bodice shape, which again, we don't really see all that often. And then it has little fan pleats that sort of fold out at the bottom. I kind of wish they were symmetrical, but like, that's just me. And from there, we can see a sort of long green accordion pleated skirt going on. I think it's really, you know, interesting. I think it's sweet. I think it's cool. I think it's nice to see up-and-coming brands sort of doing their own thing. I like the mixture of the green and white. I do almost wish that we didn't have the two little circles going on there. I feel like some things sort of bringing those two shapes together could have been really, really cool. Like almost if the sort of circular aspect fell into this, you know, pleated skirt. I feel like that would have made it, I don't know, a little bit more exciting, a little bit more interesting. But I like the idea of going for a circular bust sort of shape. I like the fact that we're seeing shoulder. I like the fact that, you know, Isa Gonzalez is making cute little moves. Next up is Emma Chamberlain. Now, Emma is on the cover of Numero Netherlands, I believe, and she is wearing a Givenchy sheer dress. Now, this is in the Givenchy monogram. It's a monogram that in recent years has been making a comeback under Matthew Williams. Honestly, I don't mind it. I think that when you look at the Givenchy monogram on like a sweatshirt, it's a lot less enticing. It's a lot less exciting. I think if you're going to utilize a monogram, you have to do something that at least takes it out of this in-your-face branded element. This sort of sheer dress does that to an extent. It's really just a sort of simple slip dress that is sheer, and as we can see, however it's been made, you can see all the different little stitches that are holding together all of these G's, and in reality, I actually didn't realize until probably the past year that these little 4 squiggles are actually G's, as in Givenchy, as in Uber de Givenchy. I think Matthew Williams is finding his footing more at Givenchy. Honestly, at first it was rough to watch, but I think slowly over time he is understanding what the assignment is. He's working on sort of developing looks that are enticing and cool and interesting and finding his own language. I think he needs to find his own language at the brand, not tap into Alexander McQueen's era or John Galliano's era. Like, you can do that, that's fine, but then it's a bit Maria Grazia to me, you know what I mean? So in that context, he really has to move it and groove it in his own way, and I think he's working on it, and I'm happy to see it. Next up is Jhené Aiko, and she is wearing Iris Van Herpen. Claps for that. This is a stunning dress. I'm obsessed with it. It's gorgeous. Listen, the mesh could match a little bit better, but that's just me. I think I'm getting like unrealistic mesh expectations, but it's so nice to sort of see these like silicone styles. So if we start at the top, we can see it has a sort of high neck, which I love. Now, everything that's sort of on this bodice, when, you know, you go from neck down to mid sort of arm area, I don't know, bicep, and then on the bust, this is all silicone. So essentially the Iris Van Herpen team like hand molds this silicone. They like put little trays out and they like put little, I don't know, piping bags, and they pipe the silicone into these little things to create these little shapes, and then they stick these on. You know what I mean? Like, they stick each one on at a time. Like, they don't just take the tray and be like, boop. No, it's like individual stick on. It's an intensive craft. It's an intensive sort of aspect. And then we can see from the rest of the dress, it's just a rather stunning little pleated moment. I don't know why it reminds me of mushrooms, like the undersides of certain mushrooms, but it does. And Iris Van Herpen likes to look at nature as inspiration and then sort of mold it into this like ethereal, or not even ethereal, but like extraterrestrial sort of feeling. So honestly, it's a beautiful dress. I think these elements are rather shocking for clothing creation if you think about it, but it's stunning. I love the way that the silicone sort of molds the bodice. I like the way that it molds a bust. I like the way that it molds a waist. The fact that it's sort of curved here on the waist sort of creates a natural sort of hourglass shape there. I think the way that the high collar is done, stunning. I like the fact that it falls a little bit into the sleeve too. And then you just have a long sleeve that almost like turns into a skirt, even though it doesn't actually turn into the skirt. The pleating on the skirt is really, really stunning. It is, you know, obviously different from the sort of mesh and silicone, but I think the fact that the colors are so similar, it doesn't really take away all that much. And also the idea of like line work and the pleating and also the line work of the silicone sort of applique all plays in together in a way that's not distracting. It feels very, very natural. Jhené Aiko and your team, whoever styled this, proud of you. That's it. That's the moment. Next up is Justice Smith, and he is wearing Gucci. It's fine. I think it's nice. I like the little flared 1970 pant. I think it's cute. I feel like it has that era of Alessandro referencing the 1970s, which is really him like sort of referencing Tom Ford's Gucci referencing the 70s. So that's fun. I like the green. I think it's a really nice color. It's one of, you know, Gucci's sort of signature colors. The little yellow unbuttoned shirt underneath is cool. The fact that it's a three-piece suit also is nice. I think there's something about a green three-piece suit that really works super duper well. Bringing back the waistcoat, who knew that would be hot and sexy? Overall, really clean, cool, fun, sort of referencing to a nice decade. I'll take it. Next up is Katy Perry, and she is wearing Pierre Cardin Haute Couture, I believe. Now, this is a purchase from Shrimpton Couture, who is honestly one of the great resellers of iconic sort of vintage. So this dress is a strapless black dress, nothing super crazy in that regard, but these sleeves, or these straps, I don't even know. It looks like they're black bow off-the-shoulder straps, but they're these white sort of taffeta, maybe it's a gazar. I'm not sure what it is, but however they're like pulled or however they're cut creates these almost like half moon shapes, which honestly I feel like there's a lot of maybe half mooning going on with Pierre Cardin's work, but it adds like this strangeness to it that is not your run-of-the-mill sort of dress. I won't say I'm absolutely obsessed with it, but I don't think it hurts the dress either. I think it takes on the idea of aspect you're looking at and allows the rest of the strapless dress to just do its thing. So I'm not opposed. Next up is Kendall Jenner. You might know her as the current creative director of Forward, the luxury fashion platform that sells high-end clothing and accessories. I don't really care that she did it. And I say this in the least like offensive way to Forward. I didn't know what that was before the announcement of Kendall Jenner being the creative director. Do I think Kendall Jenner should be the creative director? No, but also like, do I really think Kendall Jenner is gonna like creative direct a lot? No. So she's wearing Bottega here. It's a green, looks like knit dress in this like strange Sherpa texture, and I think that's what's really sort of become the thing I love about Daniel Lee's Bottega. The texture, like that is his sort of like creme de la creme, like that is the thing he really gets into, and I think it's really wonderful. I wonder if the whole looking at texture in clothing comes from Bottega's sort of Interreccio woven handbag, and the idea that, you know, the sort of signature Bottega bag is a textured leather bag. I feel like that might possibly be a thing, who knows? But this green sort of Grinch dress, I like it. He uses weird colors, I think it's fun. I like the sort of weird, different, odd, strange yarn hair, like neckline, the little, I don't even know what they are. They're like little pill capsule pockets are very strange, but again, it's grown on me for some strange reason. I don't know why, but it has. I'm also rather shocked by the fit of it, because it's not a bad fit, you know what I mean? Like it's a knit dress, obviously, but waist up, it fits beautifully. It could be far worse. I think it's nice. I think it's interesting. I'm not mad about it. Next up is Kylie Jenner. Now, for the cover of Elle Russia, she is wearing Prada. I believe this is the fall 2021 collection by Raf Simons and Miuccia Prada. I actually recently tried on, not this specific jacket, but a very similar jacket to this. It was blue, and it has these big metal buttons and a little furry sort of collar in like a strange mohairy knit. It's an interesting coat. It's heavy as shit. A lot of the coats from that fall 2021 collection are very interesting. Those like little, they're like corduroy coats. When you get one that really just hits in the right fit with a sleeve, they're cool. Like they're not even like dramatic anymore. They're not like, oh my God, that's so crazy, like that's too far. They're like beautifully tailored coats. So just want to put it out there. This coat seems honestly like a smart decision in terms of the target audience. Elle Russia, cold, winter. Russia, fur hats, fur coats, thick, everything. I think it makes sense. And the little knee highs in this floral knit print. You know what? I'm happy I can't see the bottom of the shoe really all that much. You know what I mean? Like those shoes, they were rough shoes. But I like the fact that we're getting a thigh high boot moment going on. The little Prada gloves also are there. You can see them in a sort of burgundy with a little triangle pocket on the glove. Listen, it's a bit discombobulated, but also I feel like that is Prada. Prada is not just going to be pretty. Oh my God, this all like makes so much sense and it's so easily digestible. You really have to like break down a lot of Prada-ism. So if you want to like, I don't know, get a real look at the reasoning behind why this looks the way it looks, go watch our Prada Fall 2021 review. I'm intrigued. Next up is Lady Gaga, and she is wearing Christopher John Rogers. Now, this is a strawberry silhouette dress from the spring 2021 collection. It is in a plaid. I initially thought it was a gingham, but there is a distinction between those two things. But this is a plaid. It's a sort of light brown and white plaid. Now, the strawberry silhouette is, in my opinion, Christopher John Rogers' most sort of signature silhouette. She's strawberry-esque, and I kind of love it for that. Christopher John Rogers is a great sort of purveyor of color, but also I think his ideas of silhouette, volumes, that's what people are also very much so drawn to. This dress, I believe, has a lot of boning or netting going on in here to sort of create this shape. But either way, I like Gaga in it. She's worn Christopher John Rogers before, and I have a feeling she'll probably wear it again. I think it looks rather stunning on her. I think she can pull it off. The shoes, the pleasers, those are sort of things that she gravitates towards. They're big, thick shoes, and in that regard, it's a different way of putting the Christopher John Rogers sort of look together. I don't know if it necessarily works completely. I feel like a shorter heel would be the thing to put it with. Yes, it might like get very close to the ground, but it also would allow this shape to be like the main focus and not have a little sort of shoe moment going on underneath. But I like to see Gaga and CJR. Next up is Laura Harrier, and she is wearing Proenza Schouler. Now, Proenza Schouler is a New York-based brand, if you do not know. This is, I believe, a knit and crochet dress from the pre-fall 2021 collection. Now, for some, it might not seem like all that much, but I have to say, I don't know if this lighting does this dress justice. I think, honestly, Laura looks sweet in it. I think it's a nice dress. The halter is very, very lovely. I feel like the stripes sort of create, I don't know, this like Americana varsity sort of feeling in and of itself. But if we look at the images of the actual look from the lookbook from pre-fall, you can actually see the crochet aspect of these stripes, and you can also see the graphic sort of colors. The red, the darker red stripes actually are sort of crocheted with black in them is really, really lovely. The fact that the blue is also crocheted with black in it, like that's a sort of subtle detail that on social media you can't really see, but in reality, I think it's a really sweet, sort of nice, beautiful little detail that should be mentioned. I think the fact that the stripes sort of create a bust shape and then also help to sort of frame the waist is also really, really lovely. The knit, I think it fits. I think it's fine. I think it looks nice. And I'm happy to see celebrities supporting American brands. Next up is Lily Collins, and she is wearing Ronald Vanderkemp. Now, this is it's an interesting look. Now, I believe this is from either spring 2021 couture or fall 2021 couture, but it's a black blazer dress that has a sort of very sharp, almost pagoda-esque shoulder. It has a sort of bell little skirt, but it's like a bell mini skirt, so it creates almost like a panier sort of effect where it's very structured, it's very full, but then it stops like right at the high thigh area, and then there's like a black train that sort of falls out from underneath it. And also, I do like the fact that there's not really like lapels in a structured tailoring sense, but rather it's almost like a gathered sort of piece or pieces of white silk going on there. Lily Collins has been wearing Ronald Vanderkemp for some time, so that relationship is very strong. It's very cemented. I don't think this is a bad look at all. I think it's a rather intriguing little take on tailoring as well as menswear, but also sort of forming it into a more feminine way. I like the little train. I like the length of the actual skirt. I think it's really, really sweet. I think it's really, really fun. I feel like it creates a dramatic sort of shape. And honestly, it's very hard to wear a pagoda shoulder. I don't know if people really understand. It's a job. It's a process. Not everybody can do it. Not everybody is fit for it. But I think Lily is pulling it off. It doesn't look strange. She's a little bit, you know, Lurch from the Addams Family, but like that's kind of the point, you know what I mean? So next up is Lily Rose Depp, and she is wearing Salvatore Ferragamo. Ferragamo is a brand that is incredibly interesting to me. Now this, I believe, is Paul Andrews' last collection for the brand. I don't think he is the creative director or artistic director there anymore, but this off-the-shoulder mohair dress with a high slit, it's nice. It's really sweet. It's really beautiful. I think Lily Rose Depp is pulling it off stunningly here. I like the texture of it. I like the color white. I think it's really sweet. I think it's really easy. I think it's really fun. Overall, it's a nice moment. It's very easy peasy, breezy. I'm into it. Next up is some cursed imagery. Margot Robbie in Chanel. Now, this is from the Resort 2022 collection, and it's not a great look. If I'm being honest, like the styling of it is not great. And now I will say that I have just seen Penelope Cruz at the Venice Film Festival, so I know that Chanel can be styled correctly, and it's possible, it's a thing, it can happen. The issue for me is the white shirt underneath. I just think it kills the vibe. I don't think it's really that majestic. I don't think it works. I think it just would have been so much better if we had just had this sort of wrap top. So I know that Virginie Viard, who is the creative director of Chanel, was referencing a Jean Cocteau movie. I did kind of get halfway through a review of the Chanel Resort collection. I just never finished it. But I did watch the movie that she was referencing. You know what I mean? I watched it fully all the way through. Not only was it in French, but I was confused almost the entire time, and even confused after I watched and or read multiple different explanations of the movie. I'm still confused about it, honestly. It was strange. But I know that this is a reference to sort of certain costumes and moments that Coco Chanel was sort of creating in tandem with Jean Cocteau, who was a poet, a writer, director, he was an illustrator, yada, yada, yada. So this is a reference to a costume. The costume kind of looked better. The other issue I have really with it is the pants. The pants are just not great. I understand that below the knee, the high shin area, we've put some sort of seam there, so it goes from parachute to straight fitting, and I don't really understand why. It's strange. I can see the line where it's happening, which doesn't help. I feel I don't know, maybe a wrap pant in this sort of fabric could have been really cool. It probably would have been kind of intricate, but also I think that would have been a better way to go about it, because this weird 1980s tailored pant that's half parachute, half not, it's just not great. It doesn't work all together. The shoes are okay though. Right? Yeah. Next up is Megan Fox, and she is wearing a look from Jacquemus, which is based on a look from the fall 2021 collection. Now, the new sort of Jacquemus top of the moment is a sort of rib knit and or mohair style knit that in reality has a little Jacquemus cursive gold piece of metal that holds these pieces together and exposes the bust area to an extent. I believe that these were initially paired with a pant, but here it's paired with a skirt, and I think it's a lot better. I think it's sweet. I think it's fun. Megan Fox is having a fashion renaissance, and I'm very into it. I think it's really, really cool. I think it's really, really exciting. Shoes in the yellow I think are really sweet. I feel like it plays into this idea of the little gold Jacquemus logo moment going on in the middle. Overall, I feel like this is channeling this new era of Jacquemus where he's mixing this idea of both sort of really easy, breezy, casual sort of beach, summer, spring wear with a lot of the shapes that his very early work was sort of always tapping into. A lot of that work was really very heavily based on geometry and really pronounced, very rigid shapes that were interesting. And I feel like now we're sort of seeing a combination of the La Bamba collection and those sort of older sort of collections too. And I like it. I feel like here it works, here it makes sense, here it's okay. Next up is Miley Cyrus, and she is wearing Tebe Magugu. I love to see it. Tebe is a South African designer whose menswear is beyond. His women's wear is also pretty beyond. I like seeing Miley in a sort of tailored suit. I think it's fun. I like the color red. I think it really, really works. I think it's very poignant from Tebe's sort of work, and the green little scarf moment going on over top of it, I feel really pops off of the red, which is sweet. This is from the spring 2022 menswear collection, so it is literally menswear, but I think Miley has really sort of been moving in a direction of just being a fashion girl. I think the white crop top and white cowboy boots are playing off of each other really, really well. The styling from the actual Tebe collection has the suit sort of tucked into cowboy boots. I feel like it brings back Miley's sort of country roots, Billy Ray. It's not a bad thing for Miley to sort of play into her own origins. I think it's smart. I think it works. Overall, I'm happy to see it. Next up is Olivia Rodrigo, and she is wearing Blumarine. Now this, I believe, is from the fall 2021 collection. It is a little intarsia knit cardigan, and by little I mean it's really long, and it has a little blue fur and or faux fur, I'm not super duper sure, collar. Now I have seen in recent The Real binges, there are really old Blumarine sweaters and cardigans that have these little fur collars, and in reality I like that Nicola Bragnano is sort of bringing in this idea of vintage Blumarine and bringing it back to the forefront. The knit I think is really stunning. I like the little pattern in it. I think it's really, really beautiful. I like the way that it's been buttoned so that it exposes a little bit of the stomach. I think it's smart. I think it's fun. I think it's young. I think it's cool. And the little floral pants, sweet. I think they're nice. I think they work. I think they're easily digestible, but they're not uninteresting when it comes to denim. Overall, good. for you. Next up is Rihanna. Now, she is wearing Chanel, and I believe that this is Resort 2022. And I never thought that Resort 2022 tweed bodysuits would be something I'm interested in, but only Rihanna knows how to make it attractive. Rihanna has layered on pearls, very Coco Chanel-esque. It even looks like there's a camellia or like heavy gold sort of costume jewelry moment going on as well, which again sort of plays into this idea of Coco Chanel. And then it's just tucked into a pair of jeans. You know what I mean? Like Rihanna doesn't really care. She's like, I'm going grocery shopping, because only Rihanna goes grocery shopping in tweed Chanel bodysuits. And in that regard, she sold me on it. It's casual, but at the same time, it's like Chanel. And in a weird way, I'm not trying to be like, oh my God, Coco Chanel is so great, so wonderful. She was very influential in the way that women's dressing moved and grooved in the 1930s into the 1940s. And in reality, her whole thing was, I don't want to dress women up like dolls. I want them to be able to wear clothing that is most definitely stuff they can move in, stuff they can live their lives in. And even tweed. Tweed was a fabric that she got from Scotland when she was bonking one of her many lovers. Nobody really had taken tweed and sort of turned it into a fabric for women. It was oftentimes sort of men's fabric. Or if it was a woman's fabric, it was a woman's fabric for like the Scottish, I don't want to say peasantry, but like the everyday Scottish person. It wasn't something globally that people really thought of. So when it comes to that, here, this is sort of that ethos of Coco Chanel being brought out by Rihanna. It's very nice to see Rihanna being able to like pull out this very deep understanding of Chanel. Even if she maybe doesn't understand it, maybe she does. I don't, you know, maybe she's more read than I am, and if she is, it would make sense. But it's just very intriguing to see this sort of origin of Chanel's work here in this moment with a pair of jeans, casual women doing things that they need for their lives, but in, I don't know, probably like a $4,000 bodysuit. Next up is Sarah Paulson, and she is wearing Miu Miu. And honestly, I think Sarah Paulson and Miu Miu is a nice little moment. I like the little 1940s collar that's scalloped. I like when Miu just sort of refers back to a 1940s era. I feel like the sort of wide shoulders again has this 1940s feeling. The 1940s again was sort of a time where women were empowered with men off to war. They were working in factories. They were sort of doing the jobs that men for however long had said, you can't do, this is not for you, that's not a woman's thing to do. Well, guess what? Women are those women. And so I like the fact that this is sort of being referenced here from Miu Miu. I think that Miuccia Prada loves to sort of woman-ness. She likes an intelligence. She likes to sort of create wardrobes that are not frilly and ridiculous and can't really be worn, but I think she likes to create things that have deeper meaning and deeper understanding, but at the same time look nice. And I think that's what's being done here. The little white skirt I feel like plays into the collar as well. Overall, it's nothing crazy over the top, whatever, but I think the nice 1940s referencing works really well for Sarah Paulson. I think she pulls it off. Next up is Storm Reid, and she is wearing Prada. Now, this is a full sort of grommet moment. It's a crop top and then a sort of high-waisted skirt that is floor length, just about. I like a metal moment from Prada. I do have a question of whether or not these grommets are maybe inspired by somebody like Bonnie Cashin, who loved a grommet. I have recently gotten into my Bonnie Cashin cash and carry bag, if I may say. I don't know, I feel like maybe that's what's going on here, but I like the idea of the grommets. I like the idea of metal sort of as a fabric. I like the idea of, I don't know, utilizing metal in the way that the 1960s designers did it, and Miuccia Prada was very much so into this idea of, you know, 1960s designers, stuff that she bought very, very often when she was a young woman, and I believe it has sort of very much so influenced the way that she works and the way that she dresses and the way that she then designs, because she only wears her own clothes now, which iconic. But overall, I feel like Storm looks really, really fun. I feel like this is a nice custom Prada red carpet look that is young and cool and exciting. It has intrigue and interest, but it's not ugly. You know what I mean? Like, it's not. Maybe some people would be like, oh, she looks like a shower curtain. Well, you're an idiot. That's fine. And even if she does look like a shower curtain, she looks like a cooler shower curtain than you'll ever look. So in that regard, proud of Storm. She is very much so not recognized as often as she should be fashion woman. Like, she doing the work. So next up is Simone, and she is wearing Carolina Herrera. Now, I believe that Carolina Herrera sponsored this interview magazine cover, and honestly, the reference of Simone, who is from RuPaul's Drag Race, the winner, I believe, of season 13, referencing Grace Jones here is really nice. It's really fun. I think it's really exciting, but also I think this dress is really beautiful. This is like the Carolina Herrera I want to see more of. I feel like a lot of the times on the red carpet, we see very sort of stuff I could get anywhere. This is not something I feel like I could get anywhere. This is something that I feel like has real merit and sort of substance and beauty to it. I like this sort of oversized, pillowy, sort of silky top. I like the way that the width of it sort of almost like eclipses this tight, darker pink skirt. I like the fact that the skirt is high-waisted. Overall, it feels like a nice little moment. I think it reflects beautifully off of the green background as well. I think Simone looks stunning in it. I want to see more of this. Carolina Herrera, please, Wes Gordon. Next up is then Dwayne Newton, and she is wearing JW Anderson. Now this, honestly, I don't think I've seen before, but it's a rather sort of simplistic jumpsuit, I would say. It's pleated, which JW Anderson, I like to see a pleat moment going on. And there's just chock full of prints. I don't know what the prints are. I don't know where they're coming from. They could be incredibly sexual. That wouldn't shock me for JW Anderson. But overall, I think it's nice. I don't think it's the craziest JW Anderson thing we've ever seen in our entire lives. I also think sitting doesn't really help sort of showcase the silhouette, most definitely. And I'd say that for anybody that has been sitting throughout the entirety of any of these pictures. Guys, I get it. Stylists, photographers, whoever, I get it. We don't want to always show the full look, but like we need to show the full look. Somebody just DM me the full look because it's helpful. But overall, there are other JW Anderson looks I prefer to see, but intrigue. Next up is Tiffany Haddish, and she is wearing Area, and I love to see it. I genuinely, again, like don't really understand how this is formed. I don't know if this is like a blazer with a skirt, or if this is like a dress with a skirt, or if the, like whatever it is, I'm intrigued. So I want to say that again, we're seeing this sort of really stunning little neckline in these Area sort of blazers. So it comes straight down, it creates a little bit of a ridge here, and then it's a sort of little short triangular plunge. If that's like a signature Area suit, I'm into it. I'm happy with it. I love it. I like the fact that the blazer sort of, again, sort of puffs out. It creates a real dramatic sort of waist shape. And even though Tiffany is like literally covering her waist, I can see that it shapes the waist just because of the construction of the actual blazer. I'm pretty positive that there's some sort of crystal embellishments on the pockets. I was gonna say it might be on the sleeve, but I can see the buttons on the sleeve, so it's not that. And again, I like seeing from Area that it's not always super duper bling. They're letting this sort of pink plaid fabric take the wheel. So it's not just a very sharp linear slit, like it has dimension, it has texture, it has volume to it. And I like this. This is a moment from Tiffany Haddish I want to see more of because I think she genuinely looks stunning. She looks stunning. Next up is Tracee Ellis Ross, and she is wearing Bottega Veneta, and I believe this is from fall 2021. Tracee Ellis Ross in feathers. I love to see. Tracee Ellis Ross, never scared, never afraid, never ever backs down from a fashion challenge. And it always pays off because I'm just like, wow, I want to wear a gigantic two-piece set full of little phyllo plume feathers in electric blue. That's what I want. That's what I need. I think she looks great. I think she looks exciting. I think she looks fun. There's nothing else I have to say about it. It's good. You can see it's good. I can see it's good. We can all see it's good. If you can't see it's good, it is good. Just let me let you know. And our last look we'll be talking about is Tracee Ellis Ross and Nina Ricci. Now, it's a sort of blue little cutout dress. Nothing kooky, nothing crazy about it. I like the matching with the yellow heel, but from Nina Ricci, I'd like to see more. Or I'd like to see from Tracee Ellis Ross's team pulling more exciting Nina Ricci moments. Because Ruchimi Potter and Lacey Hairbra, you know what I mean? Like they deserve their moment. They deserve their flowers. I'd like to see a little bit kooky over the top, big moments happening. Please and thank you. So before we end today's video, let's talk about our best and worst moments of the August 2021 looks. I think the worst, Margot Robbie, bing bang boom, easy peasy. We all know it's bad. We all know it's questionable. We all know it's struggling. And in reality, everybody that wore Dolce. If you wore Dolce, you're just automatically in the worst stressed moment. Best dress, this is hard. Because there's a lot of like not just boring run-of-the-mill things this time around, which I really enjoy. I'm gonna give it to Jhené Aiko in the Iris van Herpen. It was just a really clean, opulent, elegant, stunning, regal moment, but at the same time it utilized very avant-garde, nouveau, and experimental design techniques and design capabilities, and that always gets my respect. So thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys on the next video. TTYL.